So I think this is a good time for me to discuss briefly the history of philanthropy on the continent, because I think when we're talking money, I talk about capital being deployed through those global funds. And then we've also got philanthropic capital. I'm leaving private capital for now. Philanthropic capital has been deployed onto the continent, I would say, since just after Berlin World War II times. Of course, we know that philanthropy on the continent has been highly controversial. I mean, look at the state of the continent, right? I don't think anybody can analyze it and think philanthropy has worked. It really hasn't. Things are going to change when it comes to philanthropy. And I don't want to mention the particular superpower, but in how they've already pulled back aid, you're already beginning to see that was an act of deglobalization. We're returning to our markets. We're also doing more due diligence as to how is this money being spent. And that's a conversation for the emergence of impact investing, because anybody who comes into, I think, a space where you're being told that money is being deployed to advance certain causes, if you look at that particular community and see that, well, you're saying there's a feeding scheme, people are probably being fed 2 or 3 times a week, but what happens in between that? And also, how are you determining the kind of food that you're feeding the people? It really you can really drill down to the granularity, but I guess the bigger question would be, why do the people need the food in the first place? Like, why are they hungry? So philanthropic capital is also starting to ask more questions, because you've had high network individuals, family offices, pour money into the continent, and they haven't necessarily seen that ROI. If they saw the ROI, the continent wouldn't look how it looks. I think that things would look quite different. It would have been developing at a much faster rate than what we're seeing. So I think there's a lot of various stakeholders, both public and private, that are asking more questions as to how is this capital actually being spent. So now there's going to be sort of like a heightened level of scrutiny when it comes to the deployment of capital on the continent. Because on the one side, you've got these loans that went in, and without getting too into the nitty gritty of the arrangements of those loans and who signed on behalf of them, I will just summarize that to say the continent has been in a neoliberal state, and many of those loans had been taken. We don't know whether it was voluntarily or whether there was a firmer hand, but what we do know is that we were told that in terms of the global funds, everybody's going to develop, yet it seems like some countries went ahead and then other countries have lagged far behind. And those countries that were lagging far behind, we were told that aid was going into these countries to help in all those areas where state funds couldn't provide for the people. Yet, as I say, philanthropic capital still highly contentious, not sure if it's delivered the socioeconomic outcomes it was supposed to. So you reach that interesting point that where then, in what circumstance, public, private, then the money really reach the people that it's supposed to. So then we can't be surprised that the continent really hasn't developed. But we also don't know who was behind setting certain agendas. And I think that's the most important part.